we go.
Yay!
How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm on my 10th cup of coffee, so
Here you go. Cheers.
cheers. Cheers.
Welcome to a pandemic.
Interesting times.
Yes. So thank you so much for jumping on. I think a lot of people, a lot of people that watch our YouTube channel are either newer in real estate or are interested to get into our business. And I just wanted to talk to you for a few minutes, mainly because you took our class. How many years ago was that?
I would say close to 7 years ago.
Wow. Okay. So you took our real estate school 7 years ago, and then talk a little bit about your journey from. So that would have been 2012, 13. So coming out of the recession, it was an okay market. I mean, talk about that journey from then till now.
Yeah, I've been fortunate enough in that my real estate experience thus far has been a market that's just been doing this. So for the first time in my real estate career, I'm seeing some movement that is not typical for what I'm used to. So now is the time where it's going to be, quite honestly, weeding out the faint of heart or the people that are really in this business to stay. So I'm personally looking forward to this challenge, and I'm seeing a silver lining to what is ahead for us, believe it or not.
Yeah. But how much of that has to do with like your perception of the market versus you just being innately an optimist?
That's a good question. Um, well, I mean, listen, like it's in times like this, it's easy for people to sit around and complain. It's what most people are doing. So rather than sit around and complain, let's find solutions and let's try to be proactive and let's think outside of the box and think of ways that we can continue building our career, keeping our sphere, keeping in touch with people, just calling to check in. I mean, now is the time to be doing things like that. This is long term. We have to be thinking long term always. If you're wanting a short term fix, if you're wanting a quick fix, real estate is definitely not going to be the right venue for you. This is a long term play for sure. So I would say the majority of it comes from my hopeless optimism, or my eternal optimist. I've always been that way, but I mean, again, like I said earlier, as we started this conversation, this is new territory for me as well, So I mean, we have no control over the market, so there's no sense for us to throw in our towel and just walk away from it. It's really a time to fine tune our skill set and really focus on what is important here, and that is our client base is everything right now.
Right. What company are you with again?
I'm with Compass.
Okay, cool. So
Yeah.
are they, surely they must be giving you some guidance, or the upper level management must be telling you. So like, I'll give you an example. Right now, somebody calls you today, it's mid-April, and says, Alexis, I want to go look at this house in Brentwood. It's $2.5 million.
Mhm.
How do you handle that inquiry right now, given the potential health risk? What do you do in that circumstance?
That's a great question. So right now, the most important thing across the board is health and safety. So what we would offer for that client, what as a Compass agent and as any agent in California for that matter should do right now is virtual walkthrough tours of the house. Preferably the house would be vacant. If it's not, you want to schedule a showing at the time where the sellers are not in the property. You want to wear proper mask and gloves, and anything that you touch, obviously you have to make sure that you have gloves, and really honing in on the video capabilities and the virtual capabilities and the technology focused showing tools that are offered now. I mean, quite honestly, you can do it with this phone, the beauty of the iPhone, right? Or the smartphone, I should say. And really walk your client through the property just as you would in person. Show them all the nooks and crannies, show them the closet, show them the backyard space, do a 360 shot of the outside space, because there's, as you know, features that when purchasing a house that you can't tell just by looking at the photos, So again, I think it's really, you have to look at this as a great opportunity to kind of show them the things that they maybe would miss even in person. So just again, thinking of things, everything matters at this point. And then obviously say they love the house, they want to go through and write an offer, make sure you have all of the proper COVID-19 disclosures signed up front by all parties, anyone who's coming and going throughout the property. So it's really just about protection, start and finish, not only for yourself and your client, but also through disclosures that are required now.
Yeah. So to be clear, then if somebody calls you and says, I saw this house on Zillow or whatever it is, or on compass.com, I want to go look at it. The first time they see that house, your protocol is to not walk it with them. You're going to virtual it first.
Yes, I mean, it's important right now. The stay-at-home order, we have to be listening to these rules. They're not just existing for no reason. I mean, they are in place for a reason. Real estate services have been deemed essential, so you want to go about your business as smartly and as safely as possible. I mean, right now, if you violate an order, it's considered a misdemeanor.
Okay.
So it's really, it's to be taken serious. So what I've been doing with my clients, my buyers, because right now I have active buyers that are looking at properties, and how I'm carrying business through is I'm going to the property, I'm either FaceTiming with them if they're available directly, which most people are, or I'm just doing a recorded video walkthrough for them and then sending it to them, having them look at it, and if there's anything I missed, then go back in the property. But it's really about being the eyes and ears for your client who can't be there face-to-face in person. And this is really, I mean, I treat this the same as, I mean, I handle a lot of business for clients out of state or out of the country. So it's pretty much the same thing. It's really no different. I mean, I take this job so seriously even before this epidemic, but like, you know, this is the biggest purchase of your life. So certainly I want to make sure that we look at all the details.
Yeah, which is just to give this context, you've been licensed now 7 years. Do you know roughly how many deals you've done? You can brag a little bit. It's fine. I know you're a monster.
I mean, I would say 125 maybe.
Yeah, that's freaking amazing. I mean, you should be, I've taught thousands of people, I have thousands of students, literally, maybe tens of thousands. And that is in the top 1% for sure of real estate people, particularly in LA, because your average sales price must be between 800,000 and 1,000,001, I would say, right?
Yeah. The goal, my personal goal is to have it go higher every year. The goal is to increase the sales price, as you know. The sales price ultimately doesn't matter. Your buyer that's buying a house a condo at 500,000 will eventually become a $2 million buyer. I mean, you can't let the purchase price get in your head. I mean, again, this is not a short-term thing. If you sit around and you're twiddling your thumbs waiting for a $5 million deal, you need to find another job. I mean,
right.
It's not about, you'll get there, but you just have to get your feet wet, and you have to just learn the process. And every deal you learn, I can never stop learning. And that's why I love this job. Every day is something different now, especially.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, through the last recession, 2008 through 2012, I was very active. The school was very active. And I was doing deals at 150, 180,000, 200,000 short sales, just because, it sounds like you and I are similar. We just love real estate. So it's just the deal, right? The commission kind of is a byproduct of just doing what you love.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And before you know it, you're going to be, it's just funny how it's so important to continue setting goals, especially at a time like this, because I'm a firm believer, if you write down your goals, they will happen. And write them down. You can have quarterly goals, you can have annual goals, you can have and I'm not just talking real estate goals, but personal goals, fitness goals, whatever, spiritual goals, whatever your goals should be, and write them down and make, hold yourself accountable. And yeah.
For sure. Here's another question for you here. I know your time's limited, but if the market tilts to be a buyer's market, which it seems very unlikely that won't happen. I think this is going to be, values are going to drop worse than they did and quicker than they did in 2008. I mean, if you look at the worst part of the last recession, unemployment, the maximum it got to was about 10%. Right now, as it is, it's 13. And we're not even deep into it. Combine that with the commercial real estate sector. I don't know if you read this, but Staples is sending notices to their landlords saying they're not going to pay rent. Equinox is not paying rent for April. Cheesecake Factory is not paying rent. I mean, anybody that is thinking this is going to be a soft landing or not as bad as '08 just isn't paying attention. So my
Right.
question for you is, have you thought, I know it's early still, but have you thought about how your business is going to change if it does tilt to be a buyer's market?
Yes, I have thought about this a lot. I would say, it's really interesting because my career thus far, it's been a seller's market. Sellers have the advantage. Now, while I still think it's a good time to sell, it's an even better time to be buying because right now, as you know, when we're seeing, for example, 5 to 8 deals offers, I should say, on a property, right now we're getting not a whole lot,
Yeah.
0 to 1 maybe.
Yeah.
So from a buyer's perspective, I would encourage you to, team up with your agent and really strategize on how you're going to start previewing properties and getting offers in and beat out the competition. And a lot of buyers are thinking that they can come in 10% below the offer price right now and get an acceptance. And I don't necessarily think that's the case. I think we should always go about it and look at comps. Comps right now versus comps 6 months ago are going to be very different.
Yeah.
But I mean, you still need to be realistic with your numbers. I mean, the property's still going to have to appraise, you still have a loan, if you have a loan, a financed offer. So it's really just about, pairing with your agent and really staying educated on the day-to-day changes. And don't try to, I still don't encourage my buyers to go in and try to be super low ball offer, trying to get an acceptance at any capacity. This is why you have your COVID-19 disclosures and addendums to keep everyone protected if and when you have a change of mind, or if the market goes completely berserk, or if somebody contracts the virus, God forbid, or whatever the cases are, you still have your protection in place. So I would just recommend, how it's going to change is just really day to day at this point. And once again, we have no control over it. So it's really just staying educated, staying up to date on what's happening, and, really just being, as a buyer, just being realistic with your expectation.
Yeah. So let me give you a scenario, right? Let's just see how you would handle this. You got a buyer in escrow. It's $1.5 million in LA, right? 17-day contingency period, right? We get to day 15. Pandemic is here. Buyer looks at you and says, you know what? I work at, pick the company, doesn't matter. He's a pharmacist, right? Wife's a nurse. They have job stability right now. Guy calls you and says, hey, I want 100,000 off, right? Or I'm walking. Because I have a lot of students of mine that have called and said that, hey, I had a title rep actually tell a broker, you need to tell all your buyers that are in escrow now, we need to renegotiate the sales price during the escrow. And how would you, I don't know, we didn't prepare at all for this conversation, so I'm not told you.
That's totally fine. That's totally fine.
Yeah, what do you say? Because I'm sure there's going to be real estate agents that are watching this, either on the listing side or on the buyer side. Because as a listing agent right now, if I have deals in escrow, I probably feel like I'm getting very close to God above, because I'm hoping that all my deals close.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
I guess, what do you think about that strategy, A, and B, what would you, let's first start on the buyer side, and what would you say if you were on the listing side of that scenario?
So representing a buyer in this deal, I would obviously, number one, just have compassion for their mindset and where they're coming from. Because quite frankly, this is not a stretch. This is not an unrealistic scenario. I know many agents that are in these scenarios.
For sure.
Your job is to protect your client. And if that's what they feel, it's your job to try to negotiate the price and negotiate the credit.
Okay.
Now, $100,000 credit is large. That's a freaking large credit.
For no reason, right? Other than the fact
for no reason.
I mean, well, no tangible reason anyway, I should say.
Right. However, what I would say is I would just, first of all, before going and calling the listing agent and trying to negotiate this, have a sensible conversation with them and just really try to understand, because right now what they're feeling is fear. This is a fear-based conversation. Right. So what I would ask him is, why is the number $100,000? Why is that important to you?
So let's role play that. So fine. The reason I know it might seem like a stretch, Alexis, but the reason is I think the market's going to tank. I think prices are going to go down, and I don't want to be, my brother bought a house in 2006 before the market tanked in Houston, and he's telling me things are going to be the same way. I don't want to lose money. It's a big purchase. So I just want a little bit of a buffer in case the market tilts. I don't want to be on the wrong side of a pretty big purchase for me and my wife.
Right. Well, I can understand that. I would say the most important thing we should do right now, let's just give your lender a call and let's just see if we go through and close this deal as planned. Let's see if you can get a forgiveness or an extension on your mortgage payments and for how long. That will obviously help reassure, right now that's happening right now. I want to just make sure I am not a lender. Those rules are also changing by the day. So I want to just make sure that you are prepared and protected on that end. I am more than happy to go to the listing side and try to negotiate a form of a credit for you. That is my job. It is my job to keep you protected. But I really just want you to be putting your mindset, not what's going to happen 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, but more, let's think years. Real estate is a long-term investment. What goes down will come up, always, always. So I just want to really see you capitalizing on what I am seeing as an opportunity to own real estate in California, where if there's any better place to be putting your money, this is the place to be putting it. So that's my job as a realtor to be telling you this, right? But no, I truly believe that. Um, So then from there, I would go to the listing agent and try to negotiate a form of a credit. I would absolutely 1000% prepare the buyer to not expect that $100,000. That's a big credit.
Mhm.
I will do my best to get you every penny back in your pocket as possible. But we're 2 days away from removing our contingencies. And I'll tell you what, if you're uncomfortable and you want to cancel, let's cancel. I'll send the paperwork over.
See, but one thing about that though is that, okay, you're somebody who's done 100, 125 deals over a pretty, compressed period. I mean, that's a platinum agent. There are some real estate agents, as you know, that like had 3 deals in escrow, 2 already canceled. This is their last one, and they can't bring themselves to say, "Hey, if you want to cancel, I'll draw it up." They're like, so yeah. There's a lot of people watching this. They're gonna be like, "Man, I wish I was in Alexis's position, and I had to work that hard the last 7 years."
You have to you cannot force anyone to do anything. It is not your job to force anyone into anything. It's your job to educate. They have to make the decision. You will fight for them. If they want a credit, it is your job to go get it, but you need to set the expectation and know that end of the day, I don't care if you close or not. That's
Right.
I need to get you what you want.
Right.
I need you to be happy, and I need you to be, but right now what I'm feeling from you is more of a fear-based decision. So just have a real conversation with them. And when you get started in the business, you have all these scripts and all of this, but the majority of this job is off the cuff.
Right.
And
Right.
it is, it is real life, and you cannot prepare. You just have to that's why every deal gets you better and better, because every property is different, every buyer is different, every party is different every time. And it's like, as soon as you think you got something figured out, it's going to be totally different the next deal. It's much like having a toddler.
Right.
But and then, as you said, like if this was happening on the selling side, that's something that what I would do is I would prepare the seller for something like this to happen from the very beginning. So that way, when it does come to the table, it's not like, hey, what the hell is this? This wasn't part of the plan. Well, actually, anything's part of the plan right now.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny like talking about like being off the cuff and all this. I have a good friend of mine who's a designer, and we're talking about things, and I said, you might want to look into like maybe staging, and she's like, I've never done that before, and we're talking about that, and I'm like, everybody's going to have to do things over the next short little while here, or maybe long little while, that we've never done before.
Yeah.
So we just got to bob and weave and try to keep it moving.
Yeah, it's an interesting time. It's a fun time, but it's like, once again, and I'm sure you can speak to this, but it's not for the faint of heart, and it's not for the faint of heart in normal times. So then this on top of it, I feel like it's going to really, I don't know, separate you either want to do this job or you don't. And like right now, I am so like proud of your students that just got their license and that are hitting the ground running. And like right now, you guys are going to come out stronger than ever. And you are really going to, don't sit around and say, oh, why me? Like, that's not cool. Nobody likes that. Nobody likes a whiner. Like, figure out a way to get creative and really focus on the unique abilities that you have and the individuality that you have, because no one else is like you, no one else knows the people you know or has the contacts you have, and really just focus on that and you'll be just fine.
Yeah. One last thing and I'll let you go. The LA was probably an unaffordable market, you know, to begin with for the last 10 years. And I
Mhm.
was looking at some comps. How familiar are you with like downtown?
That's why I sent all my downtown referrals to you, Kartik.
Oh, well, no, I'll give you an example. Right? So there's a building called 1100 Wilshire, which is like
Yeah.
right off the 110 and like, and 110 and Wilshire basically.
Hmm.
And it's a 35-story high rise, probably one of my favorite buildings in LA, best views ever. You
Hmm.
could have bought a condo that's like probably like a little studio, but a nice one in 2011 at the bottom of the market for 240 with views of the ocean on a clear day and LAX and all this. Those condos are now selling for, or they were anyway, for like mid fives, low six, mid like
Yeah.
550 to 620.
Yeah.
My point is that do you think, I mean, this is just a crystal ball, I suppose, question, but did you feel like the market was overpriced before? And B, do you think that this correction was inevitable, or did you just feel like hey, that's just the price of living in LA?
I think that's the price of living in LA.
Okay, got it.
I mean, the prices where they have gone from the time that I started this career to now is
It's insane.
unbelievable.
It's insane.
Well, okay, so let's just put it this way. I just purchased my first house. It's now in August, will be 4 years ago in Mar Vista.
Mhm.
I would have been priced out now. I could not afford a house in Mar Vista now if I was looking now
Yeah, no
versus
one can afford to rebuy their house, right?
no. In fact, our house, is worth, so much now that we decided to refinance and open another business with the earnings on the value of the house. Like
Right.
this is what I mean. Like buying real estate, just getting in, just get in,
Right.
just get in while you can. And right now, yes, I think the market is slowly doing this. Yeah. So every more reason to get in.
For sure. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I mean, I was telling somebody this on another call is that I just hope prices come down where more people can buy. I just wish it wasn't like a health thing that caused it.
Very true. It's very true. I mean, it's horrible. It's absolutely horrible what's going on. And I have to say, like, I am so grateful that I'm able to continue working and that our business is deemed essential. And I know that everything can change tomorrow, which
Yeah.
is every more reason just to like literally just in these times it's very confusing. What do we do? What do we do? You treat it like every other work day. You get up, you take a shower, you do your routine, you have your coffee, you do your yoga or your run or whatever, drive your classic car, walk your dog, and make the calls. And you don't have to wear your heels, you can wear your slippers. It's okay. You can wear your slippers, you don't have to wear your heels, but like continue working, because it's like people are at home right now, so call them, check in. Don't even make it about work. Just call to say hello, how you doing, how's the kids, you just had a baby, oh my god. Like, just keep the human connection, because that will always be there regardless of what this market does. Your people will always be there, so it's important to stay there for them and breathe a little optimism into their world in this time of craziness, for sure.
What people that are putting their homes on the market right now, what do
Hmm.
you think their logic is? Because I look at myself and I'm like, man, I don't know that I would list a house right now. What are you seeing?
Well, so I can only speak to the deals that I'm in right now currently. So one listing that I have, they just bought a replacement property, so they want to use the proceeds from the sale to help with the former sale, right? Or sorry, the former purchase. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it
So
does.
they want to sell it now because of the timing of they just purchased another thing. So
Right.
so the timing is great. We're in escrow, so thank the Lord. In a perfect world, I would have a backup offer secured.
Yeah.
And then
Well,
the other one is
we've had two backup offers or four backup offers, I imagine.
yeah, exactly, totally. You have to get as many as you can
Right. Right.
lined up, and then refer them to other listings if that one doesn't go through, right? But yeah, I would just say, you know, some sellers right now, I would say the sellers that don't absolutely have to sell are just trying it out. They're trying to see, because they know they're, I mean, I can tell you there's buyers out there right now. I'm working with active buyers
Right.
that are buying from out of state, that are here in LA, and they're all over the price board. You know, I've got buyers in the $600,000 range and in the, you know, multi-million dollar range. And it's just like it's almost like, you know, certain properties are for certain people. And I firmly believe, like, if a seller has a feeling to put it on the market just to try it, what does he have to lose? You
Yeah.
know, if he's not in a rush to sell, give it a shot, and I'll probably bring you a buyer.
Yeah. Right. Are there any like economic talks with your buyers about, because I know you're a friendly person, I'm sure you become friends with your clients. I mean, is there any discussion of, hey, I want to wait from the buyer set that you have, or maybe I want to see what prices are going to do, or is everyone just kind of like, it's kind of like an unsaid thing, hey, if I get a good deal, I'll do it?
You know what's really interesting is that, you know, one of the features on Compass is I can actually see the activity of my clients. And I know everyone's home now, so they have more time to focus. But my buyers are just as active now, if not more active than they were before this epidemic happened.
Right.
Um, so I think that a lot of buyers are going to be capitalizing on the price. You know, properties are sitting a little longer. We're seeing some price reductions for the first time. Excuse me. In my inbox, I'm seeing price reductions posted, which is something I haven't seen in ever, you know?
Right.
So it's interesting. I mean, I think the buyers are actually, I would say okay, so for the most part, most first time buyers maybe are going to be pulling their toes back a little, you know, maybe not charging this opportunity quite as much as the savvy buyer, second, third, fourth time buyer, you know. I wish right now I was in the position to buy something, if that says anything. I mean, so yeah, I would say your question was
No.
buyers.
Are buyers holding back, thinking, I don't want to buy in April because in June prices are going to be less?
I have not heard that personally. From my buyers, I have not heard that.
Okay, got it. And it sounds like you have some pretty sophisticated buyers. I mean, if the lowest end buyer you're working with is 600 and you have multi-million dollar clients, I mean, your buyers aren't dumb. You know, they're,
Yeah, they're not dumb. I've actually had a lot of buyers pull cash out of the market and wanting to put that cash back into the real estate market versus having it in the stocks. So I have a handful of buyers that are doing that, which that's totally a personal opinion. I'm not endorsing that at all. I'm just saying, like, that's what, you know, some people are doing. I have a handful of clients doing that. I mean, no one has really taken their foot off the gas in my buyer pool right now. Thankfully, you know, and trust me when I tell you, it can all change tomorrow. I get that. But if you are here and ready and able and willing to go look at properties virtually with me and want to write offers, I'm here. I'm ready to work.
okay, awesome. Well, thank
Yeah,
you so much, Alexis. I appreciate you coming on. It says my connection's unstable. Can you hear me okay?
I can. Mine's been saying that the whole time. It's fine.
Oh,
I
got it.
think
Okay,
I
cool,
think
cool,
it's
cool.
a COVID-19 thing.
So, all right. Well,
Yeah.
thank you again. I appreciate it. And
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
yeah, a lot of newer agents are really going to appreciate the inspiration and just knowing that they can do deals regardless of what the market's doing.
Totally. My pleasure. Anytime you want to chat, I'm here for you.
Thank you again. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, Kartik.
Bye.
Bye bye.